welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 15-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the breakdown, friendly reminder, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. YouTube continues to tell me that about 50% of my audience is not subscribed to this channel. So there's hundreds of people a day watching these videos that don't hit the subscribe button. So if that's you and you really do enjoy it, if you could take 1 second to do that, it's free. It helps me out in a tremendous way. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. And lastly, if you are interested in some premium content, I do offer that link below in the description. I continue to hear some really good things about people that have subscribed to it, winning money night in and night out. That always makes me happy. Looking to keep that going. If you're getting really serious about building your MLB DFS bankroll, check that out. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. Figure out the top pitchers that we want to play on this slate today, and we'll break into bats on the latter half of the video. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Garrett Cole, taking on the Oakland Athletics. He comes in with a 34.3% K overall, a 14.5 swinging strike rate, 30.4% K rate against righties, and a 38.8% K rate against lefties. Very good across the board. And he's taking on the Oakland Athletics today in the Oakland A Coliseum, which is a big upgrade from Yankee Stadium as far as pitching environment. Always good to see. Pulling up the diagram as far as the Oakland A's stadium. In the Coliseum, you can see a lot of red going on out there in the outfield, a lot of yellow, and not a whole lot of green. Supposedly doubles for righties down the left field line, play friendly. But other than that, that's about it. So definitely a big pitcher's park upgrade. Definitely a matchup where he can rack up the Ks, and he's definitely going to be the top option on the slate today. Second on the list, we have Kevin Gausman taking on the Atlanta Braves. Not nearly as friendly of a matchup, but he has been really good all season long with a 14.7% swinging strike rate, a 29.6% K rate, 30.9% K rate against righties, and a 28.4% K rate against lefties. And looking at the Vegas lines as far as what Vegas expects Atlanta to be able to do today, we can see they do have a 4.45 implied run total. So it's a little iffy going to Kevin Gausman today. When you're paying 10-1 for him on FanDuel and on DraftKings, you're paying 9-9 when you could be playing Garrett Cole. As far as Gausman's latest update, he was placed on the COVID-19 injured list Tuesday. So unlikely to miss an outing, scheduled Friday. All right, so he should be still good. He's, I guess he was showing symptoms or something, but he might be back. I don't know if that's going to impact his performance or not, but he should be good to go here. Andre Jackson taking on Colorado is a guy we really don't have much of a sample size on. And it might not even be him. It might be Mitch White. Regardless, I don't expect the pitcher to be too good in that game, so we'll get to that when we get to bats. Andre Jackson, you know, Mitch White, and then we have Kyle Freeland on the other side. So that game should be one to talk about for bats. Aaron Nola taking on Arizona. He definitely is in a good matchup tonight, taking on a team that we don't really fear whatsoever. A 29.3% K rate, a 12.8 swinging strike rate, 28.6% K rate against righties, and a 30.1% K rate against lefties. K rate's actually been much higher against lefties. Well, I shouldn't say much higher, but he's got a slight bump up 2% against those left-handed bats, which is never going to hurt our feelings, especially when you're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks lineup up and down, expecting to be many, many lefties in there. So that's always good. He's a 238 favorite, expected to get the win very easily here. Only downside is he's pitching in Philly, which is in a good pitcher's ballpark, but he's used to it. I mean, that's his home stadium, so sure he can deal. 10K on FanDuel over on DraftKings. They have him priced at 10-2, and he's definitely going to be, you know, 1B, 1A with Garrett Cole. Last time taking on a San Diego team that really doesn't strike out a lot and racking up 11 strikeouts, 2 runs over 8.2 innings pitched. He's had a few masterful performances like that as of late. So, I mean, Aaron Nola definitely going to be a great option. Eduardo Rodriguez taking on the Cleveland Indians. Their team has been striking out a bunch. I'm actually pretty excited for this matchup for him, too. A 28.6% K overall, a 28.1% K rate against righties, and a 30.7% K rate against lefties. Very, very solid stuff on the season. His issue really is his pitch count can get up a little bit because he can get a little bit wild at times. With that 8.2% walk rate to those right-handed bats. But he's expected to get this win fairly easily. A 175 favorite. And like I said, I think there's a bunch of strikeouts to be had in this Cleveland Indians lineup. And Eduardo Rodriguez, K-Rod as they call him, is very reliant on the strikeout to get his outs. So that's a good spot for him. It's going to be a good spot for Shane McClanahan in this next game as well. And we have a few other good spots as we go along here that are really going to stand out. McClanahan, 15.2 swing strike rate, tops the slate with a 27.7% K rate against righties and a 31.9% K rate against lefties. Taking on a Baltimore Orioles team that has been striking out a bunch. Really, the only issue I've ever had with targeting McClanahan is his pitch count. Other than that, he's very clearly a great option. Priced all the way up to 10-7 on DraftKings now. He's had 8, 6, and 8 Ks, 92, 101, and 79 pitches. So this same game last time against Baltimore, he only allowed 1 earned run, 5 innings pitched. He was cruising at 8 Ks, and he got pulled at 79 pitches. So that's an issue to me, especially when you're paying 10-7 for him on DraftKings. It's like a little not necessary. He's 10-5 on FanDuel as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say he's not really worth it with the pitch limitations. With some of these other guys that we have Joe Musgrove taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Another team that's been striking out a ton with a 28.1% K overall, a 28.7% K rate against righties, and a 27.5% K rate against lefties. I think this is going to be a great matchup for Mr. Musgrove. And looking at the Vegas lines, they haven't released yet, but I'd expect the Angels not to have the highest implied run total. Musgrove is 9.2 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 9.6. Last time out, 1 earned run over 6 innings pitching against a Philly squad with 9 strikeouts. So I think it's going to be a situation where he can keep it rolling today. Definitely like Joe Musgrove. Logan Gilbert taking on the Kansas City Royals could be a decent option. The Royals have continued to strike out a little bit more as the season continues to go along here, so I wouldn't hate that option, waiting on Vegas lines, but their lineup doesn't scare us too much. It's not going to be quite the same upper tier as some of these other guys. Sean Manaea taking on the New York Yankees. Their team has been striking out a lot, and he could definitely have a big game tonight as far as upside's concerned. He's 8.6 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 8.4. Looking at his recent performances, 3, 5, and 2 Ks the last few times out. 2, 7, and 3 earned runs. Hasn't really been the sharpest as of late. But once again, a matchup where you can't ignore the upside. And those are really the top options. We have Steven Matz taking on Detroit. Detroit just continues to be a team we can really continue to target. And we have Wade Miley taking on Miami. I'm just going to continue to point out these teams because they're really that bad. And then we also have Jake Odorizzi taking on Texas. So you got to be able to target these squads. I mean, Steven Matz has a 22.4% K rate. It's not the highest in the world, but over 20% clip against a Detroit Tigers team that strikes out a ton. Could lead you to the promised land in some tournaments. He's a 175 favorite. The Detroit Tigers only have a 4.12 implied run total. I think the same was going to apply for Wade Miley as well, taking on Miami. Miley, just a cutter thrower that really doesn't strike out many elite bats, but when he gets a matchup like this, he definitely could. It's in Miami. It's one of the best pitching environments in baseball. So I definitely like Wade Miley. And we mentioned Jake Odorizzi taking on Texas. I mean, that's a little bit sketchy because he does give a lot of hard contact. But he does have over 20% K rate against both sides of the plate in Texas. Once again, it's a lineup that's been striking out a ton and has not been good. They only have a 3.48 implied run total. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I'd like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scale and active ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far and how good they're expected to be in the future. And the top 2 guys we have a very small sample size on. We have a 1 innings pitch sample size on Naughton and a 4 innings pitch sample size on Jackson. Once again, it could be Mitch White, and I'm going to really rely on some Vegas data for this. When it comes to Patrick Naughton, we'll see he's a lefty taking on this San Diego Padres team. If they have a pretty hefty implied run total, I wouldn't hate targeting them because they are very good against lefties. We just don't have enough data to be working off for me to really make an accurate projection for you guys. Logan Allen taking on Boston is the one with the biggest sample size that we actually can talk about with a 22 innings pitch sample size. Ground ball, fly ball stuff has not been good. He's given up a 5.87 slugging to righties, a 8.42 slugging to lefties. That is very bad. And taking on a Boston Red Sox team tonight that continues to get a glorious matchup every night, it seems. They've been absolute chalk the last 5 slates, it seems. I don't even know at this point. But they get another good matchup. So Logan Allen, Kike Hernandez, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, all going to be great options. Bobby Dahlbeck's been crushing. And don't be afraid to go lefty on lefty because, as explained, Allen's been terrible against lefties as well. So Schwarber, Devers, Verdugo, all going to be great options. And Christian Arroyo at the bottom order is pretty good against lefties as well for being so cheap. So, like the Boston stack. Matt Manning taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Excuse me, ground ball fly ball stuff isn't the greatest. A 468 slugging given up to righties, a 473 slugging up to lefties. Really not good. The Toronto Blue Jays lineup continues to be a little bit washed up, or not washed up, washed down with some injuries. Starting to get a little better, but they got Bo Bichette back in there, Marcus Semien, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Corey Dixon, Lourdes Gurriel. I really have no issues with targeting anyone down to Reese McGuire, who's probably my least favorite by a pretty large margin here based on his talent and his lineup spot. But you can definitely stack up against these Detroit Tigers, Matt Manning, and the terrible Detroit Tigers bullpen. So Toronto's a viable stack. Dylan Peters taking on the St. Louis Cardinals is probably going to be a no for me. He's been pretty good against righties. It's only a 9 pitch sample size, but looking at the, I mean, they do have a 4.95 implied run total. That always will make me kind of double check it. So keep your eyes on that. They had a good game last night. They do have some guys that really do crush lefties. So it's a viable stack. It's just not the best hitting environment in PNC Park. Pulling up the diagram, I always like to show you guys in Pittsburgh. A lot of red and yellow going on out there for those home runs that we like to target in our DFS lineup. So, you know, not ideal. J-Hap taking on Pittsburgh in that same game has been a lot better since joining the Cardinals for some reason. And yeah, I don't get it, but you can target some right-handed power from the Pittsburgh Pirates if you'd like to, for sure. Chris Bubick taking on Seattle. He's also a guy you can target some right-handed power with. Also lefties, a 547 slugging. Just really hasn't been that great, to be honest. Seattle doesn't have the greatest lineup in the world, but this is a pretty good spot for them. So if you want to go to them at some lower ownership, I wouldn't hate it with guys like Machanager, Ty France, Abraham Toro, Luis Torrens rakes lefties, Tom Murphy rakes lefties, and Dylan Moore rakes lefties. I guarantee they get no ownership. They could be a little bit on the sneakier side, low owned. Dallas Keuchel taking on Chicago. His ground ball fly ball stuff continues to be very good, even though he's giving up a lot of slugging. Chicago lineup is just really not that great. And it's in the Chicago White Sox Stadium. Wind's blowing from right to left. It looks like I'm not getting too intrigued to target that spot, to be honest. Spot that I am getting intrigued to target, and I'm sure everyone else is as well, is Matt Harvey taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. This is going to be a tremendous matchup for them. He gives up a 5.11 slugging to righties, a 4.53 slugging to lefties. The Baltimore Orioles pitching staff continues to be an absolute joke. If you just stack against them every night, I'm sure you've done pretty well for yourselves. It's in Camden Yards. They should get the guaranteed 9th inning at bats, unless they're winning by 20 and they start to get pitch hit for, which I can see in the spot. And you can see Camden Yards, a lot of green across the board for home runs. It's just a great ballpark to be targeting for our DFS lineups. Great stuff. And yeah, I'm going to have a lot of interest in the Rays. I'm sure everyone else is as well. But Brandon Lau, Wander Franco, Nelson Cruz, Austin Meadows, Randy Rosarina, Joey Wendell, Yandy Diaz, Kevin Kiermaier, Mike Zunino. I would play every single bat in this lineup tonight. No issues with stacking up all the way up and down. Taylor Widener taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. He has the worst hard contact rate on the slate with a reasonable sample size. You can see 50% for Andrew Albers, but we're dealing with a 4 inning pitch sample size for him, so that doesn't count. 56 inning pitch, a 45.2% hard contact rate with a 355 slugging given up to righties and a 539 slugging given up to lefties. Philly definitely going to be in play. Definitely like the lefties in this spot for sure as well. It's in Philadelphia, which plays very friendly to those left-handed hitters, 85 degrees. It's a great hitting environment, and yeah, can definitely stack up these Phillies tonight. Odubel Herrera, Bryce Harper, Didi Gregorius, Brad Miller, Travis Janikowski, those lefties. Like them all, and then you can definitely throw the righties in there too with guys like Realmuto, Torreyes, and Segura, because Widener just hasn't been good to either side of the plate. Has been a lot better to righties, just keep that in mind. So I do like the lefties a lot more. Odorizzi taking on Texas. We had mentioned his hard contact issues. The Texas lineup sucks, but if you want to go to the Rangers at low ownership, I mean, I guess it could be a viable spot for you. It's just, they're just not good. It's tough. So I'm not too sure about that. Rich Hill taking on Washington. As far as their implied run total and everything, you can see, if I can find it here, Rich Hill, the Washington Nationals really just don't have the best lineup against anyone really, but specifically against lefties. They have been a little bit better. I mean, they're able to load up with guys like Victor Robles, Alcides Escobar, Ryan Zimmerman, Lane Thomas, Carter Kieboom. A lot of those guys aren't necessarily in the lineup against a right-handed hurler, so against Rich Hill, you could target them, or target him with their power, I guess, with a 462 slug and give it up to righties. I wouldn't hate it, but really the side of this game where we're going to be targeting is the New York Mets side, because they're taking on Puelo Espino. Really bad across the board. He doesn't walk anyone, so it means the ball should be put in play early and often. He gives up a 526 slugging to righties and a 429 slugging to lefties. And Yeah, that's just not good. A 5.39 implied run total. It's an offense that's been struggling. They desperately need an easy matchup, and this is going to be the one that they get. Nimmo, Lindor, Pete Alonso, Conforto, Baez, Dom Smith, JD Davis. I have no issues with targeting. And Chance Isco can actually have a bunch of pop as a catcher. I think this could be a great spot. Hopefully they don't get any ownership because they've been really bad. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And you can definitely be stacking up some Mets today. Kyle Freeland, I had mentioned in that Dodgers game, is really not good. You can definitely target him with right-handed power, left-handed power, and either above. A 465 slugging out to righties, a 42 slugging out to lefties. And the Colorado Rockies bullpen is terrible as well. So in LA tonight, 77 degrees with 9 mile winds, blowing at the straightaway center with this loaded Dodgers lineup. They're expected to have Mookie back in there. That could help out as well. Definitely going to have interest in every single bat in this lineup. I mean, you could play lefty on lefty with Seager expected to be in the lineup. You could play all these righties, load up on the Dodgers. You get to take on Freeland and that Rockies bullpen. You'll love to see that. So that's going to be a great stack for you tonight. And yeah, that's really my main interest here. You know, we could go on and on as far as maybe a sneakier option. I mentioned Eduardo Rodriguez against Cleveland. He's really been bad lefty on lefty. So if there's any lefties that crack the lineup slugging-wise, you can target them. That'd be pushing it a little bit, in my opinion. He does have a 30% carry against those lefties. So with that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Brad Miller taking on Taylor Widener. We had mentioned his hard contact usage against lefties. He has been absolutely terrible, giving up a bunch of fly balls as well. A 54.7% fly ball rate, a 47.4% hard contact rate, and a 539 slugging given up to lefties. Terrible, and he has to take on Brad Miller tonight. And breaking down the repertoire that he goes to, Widener goes to the fastball 60% of the time. Looking at about a 93 mile-an-hour fastball, and Brad Miller crushes that pitch. A 289 ISO with a 386 WOBA. And then as far as the secondary pitches, he'll go to the changeup 26% of the time to lefties, and the slider 13% of the time. Next pitch up, the changeup, Brad Miller crushes as well. A 352 ISO with a 398 WOBA. And lastly, the slider will be no issues for him when he goes to that because he features a 420 ISO with a 462 WOBA. Great hitting weather in Philly. Great hitting environment down that right field line for left-handed slugging. Love the spot for Brad Miller. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Brad Miller. Get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.